Just another question that hasn't come up. We talked about a huge amount of change, haven't we, in our supply chains, but we haven't really talked about capabilities. So what type of capabilities, what type of people do we need? What training would we need in these different supply chains of the future? I don't know if anybody had some comments, throwing the baby across to
I mean, this is an area I do a lot of work in, actually, in the side of my life where I help trying companies to transform the business. And at the end of the day, it's people that didn't really are the problem in most organizations. Not that people themselves are a problem, but it's the management structures, the organizational hierarchies. And the key is to be able to create a culture whereby, you know, we embrace experimentation, where we innovate when we don't have to. Most companies try to do things when they're in a sense of crisis. You need a parent and platform upon which to operate. And what we find, and a discussion at Break about this, is that for the last 20, 30 years, we've been dealing about breaking out of the silos, breaking the functional silos that exist in organizations. And I always say, you know, functional organizations create frustrated people. And that is people who know that there's a better way of working than the way we work right now, but I don't know how to get out of that. And it's usually because of a lack of clarity of strategic vision. There's that lacking the whole flywheel that you talked about, Neil, of being able to have focus. We have disconnected metrics across different processes. And no one goes into work thinking, I'm going to screw things up today. But ultimately, what they do that through their actions, which are not by intent, but that's the you know, as Eli Goldratt once said, show me how you measured, I'll tell you how I'm going to behave. And what we've always been talking about now, and certainly I've been talking about in supply chain council work I do, is sort of creating what I call, I normally do it with a little T-shape, but you know, T-shaped people. You know, but the people who understand the value proposition and understand the role and the sort of functional role that they play in the delivery of that value proposition, and have a clarity of alignment between themselves and the value proposition to that customer, and understand the contribution that they have. And that requires a whole different set of skills than potentially just the skills they have right now. But it needs the culture to be in existence in order to support that. So we talk, you know, Jeff Bezos, you know, talk about his 2 pizza teams. Google talk about the 15% time. It's a cultural attribute of allowing people to work together in order to deliver value to the customer. But they have to have line of sight of what this customer actually values and how they contribute that. So one of the big things I do a lot of work on is segmentation. You know, segmenting the business into value chains. The skills, therefore, that are required on this, when we talk about robotics, you know, these are tools at the end of the day. They are tools that are making certain processes efficient. The idea is that we take the challenge and innovate, again, when we don't have to create new value propositions that differentiates ourselves from the competition. Mm-hmm. Freeing the capability, the innovative capability of the organization in order to do that is the key here. And most people I know in organizations are highly innovative in some respect, but they're never asked. They're never given the capability to contribute, and they're never asked how they can add value. And therefore, they have a job. What we want to do is try and move people from having just a job, but then to having a role, and from a role to a calling. And this is the way the stuff I think what Neil touched on, and you know, links back to things that Jim Collins wrote about and Built to Last and Good to Great, is, you know, having a clarity of the, you know, what this organization stands for, but the ability to stimulate progress and work together in very agile teams. So things like agile methodologies and agile skill sets are becoming more and more important as we move forwards, because the hierarchical model is dead. You know, there's I'm trying to think of the name of the author, my mind's gone blank. Gary Hamel, sorry, that was the name. Gary Hamel once wrote, you know, we have 21st century technology on top of, you know, 20th century managing practices on top of 19th century management principles right now. And traditional management's out of date. So the skills really are the skills to innovate, the skills to think, the skills to work agile, the skills to think value rather than function.
Okay.